Okay, Thursday, 25th of July. So, Thoughtful Thursday, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe below. So, mixing emotions and logic. So, this is a little interesting observation I made. Wow, about 7 odd years ago, just casually one time. I was kind of thinking about it, then I fully realized as I saw it in person. A lot of people tend to get emotions mixed up with logical questions or scenarios or situations. So, for example, I was in this scenario, this business meeting, so to speak, and I asked the person, could I invoice them every Friday? Very logical question. Invoice every Friday. Is it possible? And the person said, no, of course not. Nah, it's very innocuous, very simplistic, nothing grand. But it's that the question is a very yes or no answer. And the answer really was in this case, no. But they added, of course not. And it's that of course not. It's that little sprinkle of emotion to imply, yeah, what do you expect? Yeah, naturally, yeah, of course, duh. It's that. It was that moment right there, those three words, which meant the person was adding and combining emotion with logic. Because the question was logical. Can I do this, yes or no? And the answer, again, is yes or no. But they put a bit of emotion in there. Of course not, it's that. And now I try to avoid that. I try to avoid, when someone gives me a question, I try to be as direct as possible, for other reasons as well. It's more assertive, more masculine. And I just say yes or no, and try to resist, try to avoid putting the emotion in there. But because that emotion can create all kinds of complications and problems. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it opens the door to that possibility. It makes it possible, just in general. Okay, dispute, arguments, whatever else. Okay, just yes. But on the flip side, we don't want to be too logical because we're still dealing with humans, and too impersonal. Not very affectionate, so to speak. And if we just say yes, no, too robotic, not very. Of course, when and if it's called for or applicable or appropriate. But you got to be careful, I think, with people. You got to be gentle with people. Not too much emotion, but also at the same time not too logical of an answer. Yes, or yes, please. Because interesting thing I've also noticed is that no one goes, no good deed goes unpunished. You don't get punished for good manners. But okay, worth remembering. But it was just that level of no or yes, no, yes, depending on the tone. But the principle here is I try to avoid mixing logic and emotions. Can I do this? Yes. Yes, of course. Of course. Well, self-evident. I did a video about this. Things that are self-evident. By me asking, self-evidently, I didn't know the answer. I wanted the question. I wanted to solve the question. I wanted the answer. So self-evidently, I don't know. Now, of course, you could say asking for tactical reasons, for other particular reasons, but that's another conversation. That's probably another video altogether. But it's that interesting thing, mixing logic and emotion. Comment, question, answer, whatever else. Especially when emotion was not called for. I ask a question, do I go left or right? Well, you go left, of course, duh. Too much. Too passive aggressive. Yes, left or right? Yes or no? I don't know, that's why I asked. That's what a question is all about, to learn something. But when they introduce emotion to it, of course, that. I need to be careful because, as I said earlier, that could lead to all kinds of problems later on. In a sense of there being passive aggressive, or even actually self-evident again. If they're going to be emotional like that, that shows their character. That's an outer reflection of an inward setting, in an inward inclination, so to speak. There was one time, this interesting conversation I remember, about 10, 11, 12 years ago. There was an individual that I knew that was always very passive aggressive. And one morning, I got his name wrong by accident. I couldn't remember if it was this or this. A very innocent mistake. These two names are very similar. I couldn't remember which one it was. And I said, oh, good morning, this name. And straight away, it's this. Something to that effect. No good morning, no nothing, no taking on the chin, nothing of the sort like that. But it's those kind of moments where it's in this case not a very emotional or logical question, but a very simple question. And then he replied with a deep, intense emotion, i.e. the anger. I remember it vaguely. The anger. He was also a bit of an angry person, but still, the uncalled for mixing of emotions within this context, a very neutral question, just a very good morning, well, just a good morning, then it's that. So we've got to be careful with mixing emotions with logic, careful with mixing emotions with other things, with decision making, things like that. We have to be careful. Of course, or I don't know, of course not. That's why I asked. That's why I asked if it's possible to invoice, because practically speaking, I don't know. So things like that, worth understanding. Yeah, but otherwise, Thursday, thoughtful Thursday. Subscribe for more videos where let me get the wording exactly correct. Share smart stuff men should know. Sharing smart stuff men should know. Sharing smart stuff men should know. Yeah, subscribe below. You know what to do. But otherwise, you will see me tomorrow.